Audie Murphy was a Texas farm boy who became the most decorated U.S. combat soldier of World War II. Born in 1925 to a poor sharecropper family, Murphy left school early to support his siblings after his father abandoned them. At just 17, he lied about his age to enlist in the military. Rejected by the Navy and Marines due to his small size, he was finally accepted into the Army. Murphy's battlefield heroics were extraordinary. He fought in North Africa, Italy, and France, displaying fearlessness and tactical skill far beyond his years. His most legendary moment came in January 1945, near Holtzwihr, France. Alone and under heavy fire, Murphy climbed onto a burning tank destroyer and used its machine gun to repel an entire German company, killing or wounding dozens and holding the line for over an hour. By the end of the war, Murphy had received 33 awards and decorations, including the Medal of Honor, Distinguished Service Cross, and Silver Star, not just from the U.S., but also from France and Belgium. After the war, he became a Hollywood actor and wrote a best-selling autobiography, To Hell and Back, which he later starred in. Despite fame, Murphy struggled with PTSD and became an advocate for veterans' mental health. Francis S. Curry was just 19 years old when he performed one of the most heroic acts of World War II. Born in 1925 in New York, Curry enlisted in the U.S. Army and was assigned to the 30th Infantry Division. In December 1944, during the Battle of the Bulge, he found himself in the small Belgian town of Malmedy under heavy German attack. When 5 American tanks were disabled and German troops began to overrun the position, Curry acted without hesitation. Exposing himself to enemy fire, he used a bazooka, automatic rifle, and anti-tank grenades to destroy multiple German tanks and stop their advance. He then crossed open ground under fire to rescue 5 wounded comrades trapped behind enemy lines, carrying them to safety. His bravery and determination helped prevent a German breakthrough during one of the most critical moments of the war. For his actions, Curry was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration in the United States. After the war, Curry lived a humble life, working at a veterans' hospital. Though soft-spoken and modest, he remained a symbol of courage under fire, a young man who, when the moment came, stood his ground and saved lives. Theodore Roosevelt Jr., the eldest son of President Theodore Roosevelt, was a decorated World War I veteran and a hero of World War II. Born in 1887, he followed in his father's footsteps in both public service and military valor. Despite suffering from arthritis and a heart condition, he volunteered for frontline duty during World War II and became the only general to land with the first wave of troops during the D-Day invasion on June 6, 1944. At age 56, using a cane to walk, General Roosevelt led the 4th Infantry Division ashore at Utah Beach in Normandy. When confusion spread due to landing at the wrong spot, he calmly assessed the situation and declared, "We'll start the war from here." His composure under fire and decisive leadership helped turn potential disaster into success. He personally directed troops under enemy fire, inspiring all who witnessed his bravery. Roosevelt died of a heart attack just weeks after D-Day, but his actions that day earned him the Medal of Honor posthumously. He exemplified selfless leadership, choosing to face death alongside his soldiers rather than command from a distance. His courage left a lasting impression, proving that true leadership means sharing the same risks as those you lead. Dwight D. Eisenhower, known as Ike, was not only a brilliant military strategist, but also the 34th President of the United States. Born in 1890 in Texas and raised in Kansas, he graduated from West Point and rose steadily through the ranks of the U.S. Army. During World War II, Eisenhower was appointed Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force, overseeing the largest military operation in history, the D-Day invasion of Normandy on June 6, 1944. His leadership in coordinating British, American, Canadian, and Free French forces was crucial in breaking Nazi control of Western Europe. Eisenhower's calm demeanor, diplomatic skill, and strategic foresight earned him respect from both soldiers and world leaders. He believed in unity of command, clear objectives, and careful planning, principles that guided the Allies to ultimate victory. After the war, he served as Army Chief of Staff and then became president of Columbia University before entering politics. Elected in 1952, Eisenhower brought his steady hand to Cold War diplomacy, infrastructure development, the interstate highway system, and civil rights enforcement. As both a wartime hero and peacetime leader, Eisenhower embodied American strength, pragmatism, and democratic ideals, earning a revered place in U.S. history. Alvin Cullum York was one of the most decorated American soldiers of World War I, and perhaps one of the most unlikely. Born in rural Tennessee in 1887, York came from a humble background and was known for his religious devotion and pacifist beliefs. When he was drafted in 1917, he initially opposed combat on moral grounds. However, after deep reflection, he decided to serve, believing that protecting the innocent could align with his faith. In October 1918, during the Meuse-Argonne offensive, York's unit came under heavy machine gun fire. As his commanding officers were killed, York took control. Armed with only a rifle and pistol, he led a small group to flank the German position. In a stunning display of marksmanship and courage, he killed over 20 enemy soldiers and captured 132 German troops almost single-handedly. For this extraordinary act of valor, York received the Medal of Honor, along with numerous international decorations. Despite fame, he returned home humbly and avoided personal glory. He spent the rest of his life advocating for education and helping his Appalachian community. York's story is legendary, a man of peace who became a warrior when duty called, and never let it change his values. George Washington is widely regarded as one of the greatest military and national heroes in American history. Born in 1732 in Virginia, he rose to prominence as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War. Despite lacking formal military training, Washington led a ragtag militia against the world's most powerful empire, the British, and achieved victory through persistence, strategy, and unyielding leadership. Washington endured brutal winters, lost battles, and political division among his own troops. But he held the army together through sheer will and moral authority. His crossing of the Delaware River in 1776 and surprise attack at Trenton became legendary symbols of American resilience. More than a general, Washington was a unifier. After the war, he refused to seize power, instead returning to civilian life before being unanimously elected the first president of the United States. His decision to step down after 2 terms established the precedent of peaceful transitions of power. Washington's humility, vision, and courage laid the foundations of American democracy. He was not only a brilliant leader in war, but also a moral compass in peace, forever earning the title, Father of his Country. Nathaniel Green was one of the most brilliant, yet underrated generals of the American Revolutionary War. Born in Rhode Island in 1742, Green had little formal education and no military background. Still, he rose to become George Washington's most trusted general and a key architect of the American victory, particularly in the Southern Campaign. Assigned to command the Southern Army after devastating defeats, Green inherited a demoralized, poorly equipped force. But through exceptional logistical skill and guerrilla-style tactics, he outmaneuvered larger and better supplied British forces. His strategy was simple yet effective. Stretch the British thin, avoid direct confrontation, and strike where it hurt most. This forced the British into a long, exhausting campaign across the Carolinas, culminating in their withdrawal to Virginia and eventual surrender at Yorktown. Green's leadership inspired troops despite hardships. He was admired for his discipline, clear thinking, and tireless commitment. Washington once said that if he were to fall in battle, Green was the man to lead. Though he never won a major battle outright, Green's brilliance lay in the fact that he didn't need to. He won by not losing, and by bleeding the enemy into retreat. William Tecumseh Sherman, born in 1820 in Ohio, was one of the most influential Union generals of the American Civil War. Known for his ruthless and innovative tactics, Sherman helped turn the tide of war in favor of the North. His most famous campaign, the March to the Sea, is still studied in military academies around the world for its psychological and logistical brilliance. Sherman believed in total war, aiming not just to defeat enemy armies, but to destroy the South's ability and will to fight. In 1864, he led 60,000 men on a 300-mile march from Atlanta to Savannah, Georgia, cutting a swath of destruction through Confederate infrastructure, railways, and supplies. Though controversial for its harshness, the campaign crippled Southern morale and hastened the war's end. Beyond battlefield tactics, Sherman was a master organizer. He ensured his troops moved swiftly and survived off the land, reducing reliance on supply lines. Despite his fierce reputation, he avoided needless bloodshed when possible and accepted surrenders with fairness. After the war, Sherman became commanding general of the U.S. Army. His legacy is complex, praised for ending the war quickly, criticized for his harsh methods, but he remains one of the most effective military minds in American history. Robert Gould Shaw was a Union Army officer during the American Civil War, best known for commanding the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, the first all-black volunteer unit in the North. Born in 1837 into a wealthy abolitionist family in Boston, Shaw grew up with strong values of equality and justice. When the war broke out, he joined the Union Army and served with distinction before accepting command of the 54th in 1863. At a time when black soldiers were seen as inferior and expendable, Shaw led his men with honor, advocating for equal pay and respect. His leadership broke racial boundaries and inspired thousands of African Americans to enlist. The regiment's most famous engagement came at the assault on Fort Wagner in South Carolina. Despite knowing the odds were grim, Shaw led from the front. He was killed during the charge, along with nearly half of his regiment. Instead of being buried separately as an officer, he was laid to rest in a mass grave with his men, a final symbolic act of unity. Shaw became a martyr for the cause of emancipation, and the bravery of the 54th changed public opinion about black soldiers forever. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain was a college professor who became one of the unexpected heroes of the American Civil War. Born in Maine in 1828, he left his post as a professor of rhetoric to join the Union Army. Though he had no formal military training, his intellect and leadership quickly earned him command of the 20th Maine Infantry Regiment. Chamberlain's most legendary moment came during the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863, where his regiment was stationed at Little Round Top, a crucial hill on the Union left flank. Vastly outnumbered and running out of ammunition, Chamberlain refused to retreat. Instead, he ordered a daring bayonet charge down the hill, a move that shocked the Confederate attackers and successfully secured the position. Historians widely agree that his action helped save the Union line, and perhaps the entire battle. Chamberlain was wounded multiple times during the war, but continued to serve with distinction. After the war, he became governor of Maine and later president of Bowdoin College. His bravery, humility, and intellect made him a symbol of the citizen soldier, ordinary Americans rising to greatness in extraordinary times.